Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and I'm so glad you've joined us on this rainy Thursday morning because we have a show in store for you. Coming up a little bit later in this hour, we'll be talking with our good friends from the Twin Tiers Comic-Con, which is coming up very quickly. And I know a lot of people look forward to Comic-Con every year. This is their 11th year, 10th year kind of too because of COVID. But either way, it's going to be a big year. We're going to learn all about it. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, fan favorite, former Congressman, current New York State Assemblyman, Joe Sempolinski. So get your questions in during the broadcast. Full disclosure, the Comic-Con interview was recorded yesterday because of scheduling. And when you see it, it's going to look like a bright and sunny day. But as you know, it is not. Okay, a couple breaking stories this morning. Trump has cuts China tariffs, We learned this late yesterday. He is cutting tariffs on Chinese imports after a highly anticipated meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, citing new understandings on fentanyl enforcement, farm trade, and a pause on rare earth export limits. The meeting marked the final stop of Trump's Asia trip, which also included stops in Malaysia and Japan, and focused on cooling the economic standoff between Washington and Beijing. So that is a big story. Trump said that it was an amazing meeting and that both sides have reached an outstanding group of decisions on key economic and security issues. The president said Xi agreed to begin immediate purchase of U.S. soybeans and other farm goods, and that China would work very hard to block fentanyl from entering the U.S. Trump said he would cut the tariff rate on Chinese imports by 10 points from 20% to 10%, though an aide clarified that the rates would be closer to 45 to 47% in response to the promise to crack down on the flow of fentanyl. Trump said, I believe he's going to work very hard to stop the death that is coming in. Now, we also learned late yesterday, actually early this morning, that Trump announced that he had ordered the United States to resume nuclear weapons testing immediately, saying he directed the Department of War to match other nations' programs. He called the move a necessary step to maintain global parity. He wrote on Truth Social late last night, early this morning, the United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country. This was accomplished, including a complete update and renovation of existing weapons during my first term in office. Because of the tremendous destructive power, I hated to do it, but had no choice. Russia is second, and China is a distant third, but we will be even within 5 years. Because of other countries' testing programs, I've instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately. Oh, did you see, too, in this trip? And I knew the media's coverage, and I should have brought this up yesterday, but I knew the media's coverage was going to be in a tizzy because South Korea gave Trump a crown. Now, we've talked a lot about the No Kings rally, and they suggest that Trump is trying to turn himself into a king. Well, according to the New York Times, Trump has likened himself to a king. South Korea gave him a crown. President Trump received a replica of a golden crown excavated from an ancient royal tomb, Trump calling it very special. Now, President Lee of South Korea, during the ceremony, Trump shook his hand and thanked him for the gift. Mr. Lee also gave Trump the Grand Order of, I'm going to try here, Mugangwa, South Korea's highest decoration, in the form of a shiny, ornate necklace. Trump saying, I'd like to wear it right now. Earlier this month, now this is where I bring up the media's coverage, demonstrators turned out in droves in cities and towns across the United States for No King rallies, where protesters condemned Mr. Trump for acting, in their view, like a monarch. Though the president has previously embraced regal themes, he said in response to the protests that he was not a king. What a waste-out article. Mr. Trump did not express a desire to wear the replica crown, which was inside a glass box, but he and Mr. Lee went to see the real version in the museum, according to the White House. Also breaking, Israel said yesterday that the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip was back on after it carried out an intense strike across the Palestinian enclave. Now, again, this is how the media is always going to cover this, so bear with me. This is from NBC. That killed 100 people, including children, according to local health officials. Always take that with a grain of salt. The Israeli military said it had begun the renewed enforcement of the fragile ceasefire after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered powerful strikes on the territory as Israel and Hamas traded accusations of ceasefire violations. Dozens of targets were struck in the attack, the most serious threat yet to the truce, partly brokered by President Donald Trump. All right, so there's your breaking stories. Also, this coming in yesterday as well, and then we're going to get to some other stories because we do have our guests coming up here in just a little bit. But a staffer for Democratic Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey was hit with drug trafficking charges after authorities intercepted 8 kilograms of cocaine being delivered to a state office building. Lamar Cook, who has served as deputy director of Healey's Western Massachusetts office since 2023, was charged with trafficking over 200 grams of cocaine, unlawful possession of a firearm, and unlawful possession of ammunition related to the bust. Multiple parcels containing about 21 kilograms of cocaine have been seized by Massachusetts State Police throughout the investigation into Cook. Cook was arrested during a traffic stop on Tuesday, 3 days after authorities conducted a controlled delivery operation of 8 kilos of coke to the Springfield State Office building where the Healey staffer worked. His arrest is also linked to parcels seized at the Hotel UMass in Amherst, where Cook was previously employed, containing about 13 kilos of the drug. Cook, 45, was arraigned Wednesday in Springfield District Court and pleaded not guilty. His bail was set at $25,000. Okay, there we go. Now, in updates from previous shows, I'm sorry, I realized that my chair had sunk down to low levels. So, a couple of updates from stories that we've had for you for either this week or weeks past. I had mentioned, and we're starting to see the trend, that it's about, well, I can't even say it's once a week. It's more than once a week, where the media informs you or some elected representative informs you that if you are a MAGA supporter, you are starting to lose support for Trump because of X, Y, or Z, you name it. One we had recently was because the East Wing, MAGA was turning on Trump. Now, I had not heard that from anybody that is self-described as MAGA, but that's what the media and some far-left politicians are telling you. Here's our second one of the week, coming from Axios. Some evangelicals are, quote, quietly quitting Trump and MAGA. Evangelicals and Catholics, uneasy with President Trump's rhetoric and immigration policies, are subtly distancing themselves from MAGA and taking some congregation members with them. Some churches are seen as quiet quitting, which is kind of a popular phrase, as pastors avoid political sermons and help members disengage from Trump's movement without ostracizing family members who might still be MAGA devotees. Rich Logus, a Catholic ex-Trump supporter who founded a group called Leaving MAGA, said, "We've gotten more testimonials. I'm starting to now see Leaving MAGA signs popping up on billboards, overpasses, and at No Kings rallies." Now, I think one thing you'll find that very often it's like when someone is very active in these protests against Republican issues, not even just during Trump's administration, but they'll always tell you they're a registered Republican because that gives them some type of weird credence, some type of credit. That they're a Republican, even though they've never supported Republicans. The same type of thing here. If people are having signs that say Leaving MAGA at a No Kings protest, probably were never really that staunch MAGA. Anyway, anecdotal here, but still worth mentioning. Our second of the week, at least, some evangelicals are quietly quitting Trump and MAGA. All right, also, we talked about the auto pen. We talked about some of the scandals going on in the past Biden administration. Ex-Biden spokesperson Ian Sams, who aggressively defended the aging president, calling him sharp and vigorous when he saw him behind the scenes, and this was after the debate performance. He has now Ian Sams privately admitted to House investigators that he rarely met the 46th president in person. After the disastrous debate, Sams went on MSNBC to say, to argue the 46th president's repudiation of the Supreme Court's presidential immunity decision illustrated how Biden was keeping up behind the scenes despite public fears about his cognition. Yesterday, when he gave the speech about what the Supreme Court did, he drove that speech, Sam said. That's the President Biden that so many of us experience every single day, who's asking the tough questions so that we as staff can be sharp to do our best for the American people. When I deal with him, he is sharp. He's asking tough questions. Then we learn in that hearing that he met him, I believe it was around 2 times. Now, here we go. When pressed for specifics, Sam said he dealt with Biden directly 3 or 4 times during his 2+ years in the administration, including 2 in-person meetings, 1 phone meeting, and 1 virtual meeting. So only meeting him in person essentially twice. All right. Now, we got to take a short break. We are going to be hearing from our friends at Comic-Con here in just a few moments, so make sure that you get ready for that so you have all of your information. Most of the issues of the day we're going to be talking to Joe Sempolinski about. I know yesterday J.D. Vance was at the Turning Point USA touching tribute, touching rally. I don't know what you would call it. I mean, it was a, what are they specifically calling it? Just a campus appearance. Packed house. I saw the pictures. Erica Kirk was there as well. We'll maybe get a chance to talk about that, but we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The Frankly Speaking roof cam. Look at it. Poor. That's our view of historic Market Street. Excuse me. We thank Boss Security for bringing us that view. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I think I see what the fake news is attempting to do when they suggest that people are becoming essentially unhappy with the Republican Party. They suggest this so that Democrats will take the suggestion and become inspired to carry on with Democratic ideologies instead of giving in to the truth. Well, I think very often if you look at CNN's coverage of the government shutdown, saying, nope, Democrats are standing strong. They're sending out the message that they better stand strong. They need to be this resistance. As a matter of fact, to your point, there was a piece that I didn't have right in front of me, but here it is, saying the Democrat base is very happy with their members in Congress for once. So this is to send the message, hey, keep being a part of the resistance. It may not be popular in all of America, but it is in the media and Democrat Party, so you better keep at it. I don't know if it's a winning strategy. I don't think it is. But The Hill, quickly on the government shutdown, The Hill had a piece, and it was by, I'm trying to think, Taryn Bragdon. He's the president and CEO of the Foundation for Government Accountability, and he says it's the great falsehood heard around the world. President Trump and Republicans in Congress are about to ruin Thanksgiving. Breathless media stories to that effect have multiplied in recent days. Last week, the Trump administration warned states that because of the shutdown, it will run out of funding for food stamps in early November. At that point, states will have to limit these welfare payments or even end them altogether, something states like Pennsylvania are preparing to do. The only way to fully fund food stamps is to reopen the federal government. All this is true, and it is sad. But it is misleading to blame the president and his fellow Republicans who have already done their part to keep the government open and funded at current levels. And this is why I bring up the Hills piece. The media will not cover that the Republicans have pushed forth that clean continuing resolution that would have kept the government funded at normal rates. But what Democrats decided to do, while admitting inadvertently that the Obamacare system is a failure and is too costly, they are willing to fight over something that was not set to expire until the end of the year. They wanted to keep the government shut down on October 1st all the way through. Here we are, 29 full days going into our 30th. Trump is ready to reopen the federal government at any time. Every Republican in Congress, except 2, Senator Rand Paul and Representative Thomas Massie, has now voted to reopen the federal government immediately. They have passed a bill through the House, which Trump is ready to sign, that would fully fund the government, including food stamps for all of the nearly 42 million people on the program. Republicans could hardly be clearer that they want to keep food stamp payments flowing without interruption. But of course, we know that's not how the media will cover it. The problem is that Democrats are blocking those Republicans. Against a bipartisan Senate majority that has voted to reopen the government, a minority composed entirely of Democrats is filibustering the Senate bill to end the shutdown. In other words, Democrats are holding food stamp recipients hostage. Keep that in mind for our friends on SNAP. They're completely to blame for any cuts that come. Democrats are jeopardizing food stamps because they have a $1.5 trillion wish list of demands that are frankly ridiculous for a minority party to make. They refuse to reopen the federal government unless Republicans agree to pay for welfare for illegal immigrants. They want to cut $50 billion in new health care funding for rural areas. They even want to restart foreign aid that pays for things like circumcisions in Zimbabwe and transgender propaganda in Eastern Europe. Democrats' biggest demand is to make permanent the temporary COVID-19 bonus payments to insurance companies that former President Biden created in 2021. These payments, by design, were supposed to expire at the end of this year, and they should be allowed to expire. The expanded subsidies are riddled with fraud and were meant to be temporary during the worst of the pandemic. Even if these expanded subsidies disappear, vulnerable Americans will easily be able to find affordable coverage, with people at the poverty line paying less than $4 a week for zero deductible plans. No matter, Democrats are so obsessed with forcing taxpayers to fork over $450 billion in unaffordable and unnecessary subsidies, they are willing to sacrifice all food stamp recipients to get their way. You won't find any of these facts in the stories about the looming food stamp hysteria. Instead, you'll find the Democrats and their allies are saying that Trump could easily step in to keep the funding going. In recent weeks, the Trump administration has prevented cuts to the Women, Infants, and Children welfare program by reallocating money from tariffs. The White House made a similar move to keep paychecks flowing for members of the military. Why, critics ask? Can't the president do the same for food stamps? The answer is simple. Food stamp spending is far bigger, costing taxpayers more than $100 billion a year. There just isn't enough tariff money to shuffle around to make up for Democrats' destructive behavior. Not when the administration is already working overtime to keep funding flowing to low-income mothers and the heroes who keep our country safe. If the White House could keep food stamps funded through the shutdown, it surely would. But it can't, and Democrats are refusing to give relief by reopening the government. That's exactly, and this is the point, how Democrats want it. They want to use food stamp recipients as leverage to extract concessions from Republicans. They aren't just being cynical, they're being actively cruel. And all the while, they are blaming the Republicans for a crisis that they themselves created and are allowing to continue. Remember that when you read these breathless stories about the vulnerable not being able to eat on Thanksgiving. Republicans are fighting to reopen the government and keep food stamps funded. Most Democrats are satisfied using the suffering of vulnerable Americans as leverage. They started this food fight, and they are the only ones who can end it. That, I thought, was a great recap from yesterday when we talked about SNAP benefits. All right, we got to take a break. When we return, it's our good friends from Comic-Con, Twin Tiers Comic-Con, which is coming up right around the corner, November 15th and 16th. You'll find out all about it coming up next. Then in the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be talking with former Congressman, current New York State Assemblyman, Joe Sempolinski. If you missed Sheriff Allard's great interview yesterday, you can find it on our YouTube page or on WYDCTV.com. And that also goes for all 3 Elmira City Court judge candidates who we've had on the program, all running for that position. If you haven't already early voted, you should watch those. If you're getting ready for Election Day, you should watch those just to be prepared, or if you are in the city of Elmira, again, on our YouTube page or on WYDCTV.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC-TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, we're talking Comic-Con. Welcome, boys.
Hey.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah.
This is quite a tradition we've started here.
I know, yeah. I mean, we're old-time friends, right?
I think
we
so.
go back, what, 1-2 years?
At least 2 years. Seems like a lot longer, though. Speaking of that, 11 years this year.
Yeah.
Because last year we had the Big Ten, and we haven't talked since because you guys forget about me as soon as Comic-Con's over.
Go into hibernation. Yeah, hibernation. Is what I do.
Yes. But how did it go last year? Celebrating 10.
It went well.
Did it feel good?
It was great. The turnout was great. The response was great. The after party was great. But yeah, it's big, and this year is also it's interesting because this year is our 10th show, but our 11th year because of the pandemic. So it's still sort of our 10 year. We're just extending it out.
Got to keep celebrating. I like it. Oh, how's the planning going so far?
Going well. We're getting into the home stretch here. We've got just under 3 weeks left. Is my math all right?
November 15th and 16th. Yeah. We'll make it easy on people.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
November 15th and 16th at the Arnott Mall Event Center. Have you found it's getting easier, or is it so different every year that it's almost like a new event each year?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
There are definitely things that every year get easier and easier. Mm-hmm. But then there's parts of the show that change. You're dealing with new people that have different, ways of communication. So there's things that that are challenging every year. Mm-hmm. Other parts get a little easier. We try to change things up so it doesn't get stale.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's been exciting to see it grow through the years and just see how much it has changed and how you're always trying something new. Like, let's talk about this year. What's new this year?
Yeah, we got 2 new attractions this year. One we're calling the T2C2 Makerverse, where we're going to have 10 different creators, artists that will be offering free lessons for different types of crafting that will be available for kids 14 and under. We'll have cross stitch and sewing, and we'll have voice acting lessons and digital animation, things like that. And then we also have what we're calling the T2C2 Streamerverse, where we're going to spotlight our digital content creators, YouTubers, podcasters, things like that. We're going to have a little stamp passport. We're going to celebrate the first year of this by doing giveaways all weekend. So people will just go to the streamers, do a little task, turn their card in, get some free prizes. So we're going to try to pump two new big attractions this year.
How do you keep this all straight? I mean, do you know what I mean? You have because it's not just like you say, some Comic Cons you see, you have a couple celebrities, a couple people set up in a booth, but you're like, we do that, we quadruple that, and we want to throw in something new, gigantic new every year.
Yeah, it's definitely an undertaking. Yeah. There's a lot of spreadsheets. I will say there's a lot of spreadsheets. Some online, some offline. Yeah. But it's it's a lot of keeping track of and budgetary things to keep track of, especially when it comes to bringing in guests and hotel and travel and all the costs that go along with that. It's a monster. And going back to your other point, there's things that we learn as we go on how to streamline things better for the next year, like whether it's through promotions or through advertising or things where you're like, oh, I can just utilize this and build a template so that I don't have to do it the same, do the same thing over and over again, or preload my social media content, things like that, where it's just those things kind of become easier as we just get used to it, and then we can deal with the other messes of like, oh, we don't have enough tables, or
it's always something little like that too. I know it.
The things that just pop in where it's like, oh, by the way, half these tables are broken, so we can't. I'm like, oh, yeah.
No one brought chairs.
Right, exactly.
So if someone is just tuning in and maybe Comic-Cons are new, I know I ask this every year, could you explain to the viewer what a Comic-Con is?
Sure. You want to field that one?
Sure. So
I hope you guys know the answer. For heaven's sakes.
There are different versions of what a Comic-Con is. Ours is a large pop culture celebration. We try to have as many different aspects of pop culture as possible at our show. So we have, a ton of artists, crafters, writers. We've got vendors of all different types. We've got celebrity guests. We do panel presentations. We have a board gaming area. We have video gaming going on. Wow. We have a big cosplay contest. So we have a little bit of everything. So we try not to have a focus on one thing. It's a broad range of pop culture.
Yeah, we actually had this year we're having another after party on Saturday, and we're going to have a photo booth at the after party, and the person running the photo booth, I saw him the other day. We were doing a Halloween event at the library, and he said, I've never done a Comic-Con before. He's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I said, Comic-Cons are just, if something has a fandom, I said, it's Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you mean? I said, name a TV show, name a book, name a story. Like, if it has a fan base, a passionate fan base, they're going to show up for it. Mm-hmm. They're going to show up dressed like a character from it. They're going to show up, wanting to get things signed, a copy of a DVD that they want signed from some movie that you've never heard of from 30 years ago. And he goes, well, what do I wear? And it was the Halloween event, so he's wearing like a Ghostbusters outfit. And I said, wear that.
Perfect.
And he said, I can wear Ghostbusters. I was like, Ghostbusters is Comic-Con. And he goes, really? And I was like, yeah.
So that's got to make it difficult to ask the question of what's the biggest attraction for Comic-Con, because it really is dependent upon the individual, isn't it?
Yeah. It's I would say, we've found a lot of people think the big attraction is going to be the celebrities, and they are clearly an attraction. But like me personally, when I go to shows, it's for comic book artists.
Oh, okay,
And comic book writers. So for me, it's the comic book side of things. So for a lot of people, that's what it is. A lot of people want to do some shopping, and we have amazing vendors. So that's why we try to be as broad as we can, because everybody has their really one main, like the big thing they want to go for. And it's all different.
And within each one, we also try to broaden each individual aspect, where we'll get celebrities who were, these celebrities were popular in the 90s, these celebrities are popular in the 2000s, these celebrities are popular in the 80s or earlier. It's like we try to hit all the different fandoms, all the different demographics, so that, everybody can have a good time.
Yeah, we get surprised all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not afraid to admit, I was a little surprised. We had a guest that was from a 60s TV show.
Yeah.
I had my reservations.
Sure.
One of the most popular guests we've had.
Is that right?
Yeah. So we learned.
Who was it?
Butch Patrick.
Oh,
from the
yeah.
Munsters.
That's right.
It was great.
Yeah.
Like, he was phenomenal. He was super popular guest. I was a little worried.
Right.
I knew he'd be great, but I wasn't sure how many people would turn out for a show from that old. That a lot of people.
That's really
The
cool.
actual response, we were like, whoa, like we weren't expecting to be this popular.
Well, and that also brings in people that maybe would not normally go to a Comic-Con in that instance, right?
Absolutely.
And then they learn about do you find that people keep coming back? Once they go that first one, they're kind of addicted?
Yeah. What we find is most people who have never done it before, they come in not having any idea what it is, and then they leave usually a little floored by the experience.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the next one. Can't wait for the next one.
Right. Once they find out, what exactly Comic-Con is, because that's a big hurdle we've had since the beginning of this. Is people who, if you haven't seen it, you don't know what it is, and it's hard to describe.
It's very hard to describe.
Yeah.
And one thing I think that's been very helpful in your journey through all this is how family-friendly you've always made sure that you make this. Because it's even with ticket prices, kids 14 and under free. When you have an event like this, a lot of times, they're looking to gouge families. I hate to say it, but in your situation, and I should also mention veterans, of course, that's very important, because it's always, you try to do it around Veterans Day weekend, so veterans get free admission as well. But let's talk about that. Has that always been a goal of yours to be family friendly then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
We've always done either 14 or 12 under free, usually 14. It's if you have a big family and you're charging kids for tickets, they're just probably not going to come.
They can't do it.
And we want people to come and experience the show. And I would rather have a family be able to come in, bring a bunch of kids, have some fun, spend some money on some vendors, than have them unable to even enjoy the show because the cost to get in is too high.
And I don't ever want to run the show where it's like, kids 0 to 2 are $5, because that's going to drive me crazy just trying to keep track of, again, going back to the spreadsheets. That's a lot to keep track of. And also it's cleaner to just be like, hey, kids 14 and under are free. Yeah. And we have great support with the Chemung County Youth Bureau. They love that we do it, and they support, we give them a bunch of free tickets every year to hand out to kids and families. So
and who wants to be the person that checks the 2-year-old's ID?
Right.
Who wants to be that bouncer?
Who wants to wristband the infant?
Yes.
Like, come on.
No one wants that. But you mentioned that celebrities are definitely near the top of one of the reasons why these have become so popular. Do you want to make some announcement? I know you have on Facebook a little bit, but maybe tell us a little bit about the celebrities who will be attending this year.
The
beautiful poster.
The beautiful
Look at that.
poster. So this year we have we have Ed Begley Jr. is coming, who is just a legendary comedic TV actor. He's been in, I always tell people, if you had a show that you watched either when you were younger or even recently, he was probably in it for at least whether it was a starring role, guest starring role, or cameo, he's been in it. Yeah. He was notably, he's been in recently Young Sheldon. He was in Better Call Saul for a few seasons. And then he had a big role in Saint Elsewhere back in the 80s, and he, I think, won the Golden Globe Award for that. And it was he's just had an incredible career. It's like 350 different credits, and it's just he's done voice work. He's been on The Simpsons. He's been immortalized as a Simpsons character.
Isn't he almost like a cult figure because of who he is? Like, he's got that name recognition so much that he can even play himself in certain things.
He has played himself.
That's what I'm saying.
He played himself in The Simpsons. Actually, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, so when you get to that level, you know he made it.
Yeah, and he was huge in the always in the Christopher Guest movies of like A Mighty Wind and Best in Show and like all the irreverent comedies. Yeah, he was in This Is Spinal Tap, which just had their sequel come out this past year. We also have Irene Bedard, who was the voice of Pocahontas from Disney's Pocahontas back in the 90s there, and she's also done a number of live action roles as well, where she's got to play a role and not just voice a character.
So 30th anniversary of Pocahontas, so that's a fun one.
Okay, yeah, because you guys always try to do a little bit around anniversaries.
If we can, yeah. And we have that, and we have the 30th anniversary of Mallrats.
Which
so we
is
have
hard to believe, isn't it?
Jeremy London, who was T.S. Quint, and Renee Humphrey, who played Trish.
Yeah.
So we got 2 Mallrats actors for that 30th anniversary.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yep, and then we're also hitting the voice actors very hard this year. We're getting a lot of anime and video game voice actors. That's one of our number one requests from a lot of our guests. Is just you got to get more voice actors, So this year we're getting Doug Erholtz, we're getting Quentin Flynn, and we're getting Michael Yurchak, and they all did voices on things like Naruto, and Demon Slayer, Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, all sorts of different characters from video games.
Between the 3 of them, they've got over 700 different credits.
An insane amount of voice acting credits.
Yeah.
So we're hoping, and I think we're doing a panel with those guys, a voice acting panel. So that'll be really fun.
And you have a lot of panels?
Yeah, we'll have a Mallrats 30th panel. We've got a voice acting panel. Ed will have a panel. Irene will have a panel.
Oh, okay.
I think we've got probably 3 other ones planned as
Yep.
well. So
some art-based ones as well.
some art-based ones. Yep. Well, the podcast, the Streamerverse, we'll have a panel with, so those guys can talk about all the different ways they go about all their streaming. So we'll have a nice panel schedule this year.
And it helps in doing it at the Arnott Mall. We have storefronts that we can utilize for a panel room, and that's going to be next door to the another storefront, which is going to be the video game competition on Saturday. So it's nice that we kind of we can compartmentalize things a little bit.
So when we say it's at the Arnott Mall Event Center, it's actually spread out throughout the mall now at this point.
Yes,
it's taking over the Arnott Mall.
Yeah, the main floor show will be at the Event Center, which we fill the floor every year. I would assume the largest show that the mall has every year. And then almost directly, kind of diagonally across from that, we're going to have the 2 sections at the old Bed Bath & Beyond, and then next door to that is where we're going to have the panel room and the Smash Brothers video game competition.
Oh, cool. So. And that's again November 15th and 16th. I know I ask you this every year. Is it difficult when you're dealing with celebrities? How's that booking process and that planning process? Must be one of the more difficult parts of your job, would you say?
Yeah, and it's mostly scheduling is what makes it so difficult, because they all have very busy schedules. So trying to coordinate around their filming schedules and their travel schedules and figuring out availability, it's a challenge. I think who we probably try to go after every year, we might not get them. We might get them the next year. We might not get them at all.
Oh, sure.
The guest list kind of changes as we go because. It's challenging.
I've had people actually ask me this year of you should get so and so, and I'm like, we tried. We tried. I tried this year. It almost happened. It didn't happen. I can't tell them who it was, but
but you're trying throughout probably the year, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about the panels, we talk about, and is there an extra cost? I think people should know this. There is sometimes a cost for autographs and things like that with the celebrities, right?
Yeah. The celebrities and their handlers usually set their prices for autographs and table kind of selfie photo ops and things like that. Okay. And there's some of them that we will be putting out ahead of time, probably in the next week. And then there's also some that they just kind of do on the fly, where I mean, the 3 voice actors, I don't know for sure, but sometimes at these shows they're like, "Oh, we'll do a picture with all 3 of you for X amount of dollars or whatever." And then there's also a lot of, like he was mentioning, the Makerverse and the Streamerverse and all the stuff that we have for free that'll be included with the ticket price. That's not going to have any extra charges to it. So it's
I just wanted to clarify that. But there's so much to do. And you had mentioned the after party being a huge success last year. Tell us about the VIP package.
Ooh, yeah.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
This is every year we pride ourselves on having one of the best VIP packages around, and this is probably our best one. So we have how many art prints this year?
Oh, I lost.
I think is it 5?
It's 5 somewhere.
We're
around
gonna have
5 or 6
art prints in it. We have an exclusive cover of a comic book done by Ethan Young. The only place to get it is in our VIP package.
Oh wow!
Also, admission to our after party is included. What else am I missing? We get in early.
Okay.
So you get early admission.
Yeah, you get in a half hour early.
Half hour early each day.
And like you said, the after party thing, that's a huge addition this year of everyone who gets a VIP pass gets free admission to the after party. So that's a savings right there. And then the free admission. And also shout out to Ethan Young for the comic book cover. He's an Ithaca-based comic artist, and he's done cover art for X-Men. He's worked on the Spider-Man cartoon that was on Disney Plus this year that just got renewed. So congratulations, Ethan.
So when you talk about the panel, all that, can you find the schedule? Do you get that the day of, or do you get that on the website?
The panel schedule will actually also be going up in the next week, along
okay.
with the celebrity pricing and things like that. So we might have other things to announce, but we're kind of waiting and seeing if it actually happens.
Is this because I want to have you on again on the program?
Yes, that's right. We'll come back if those things come to fruition.
Yes. And it's funny because we've been talking for a while now. There's so many things I forget, even like costume contest. There's just so much constantly going on.
Yeah, the costume contest. I think, Mike, we've changed the costume contest slightly as far as the prizes go, right?
So we're going to have more prize winners on the Saturday costume contest. That's for 12 and older.
Yep.
We'll have 6 categories. We'll have 3 junior categories and 3 17 and older categories. And Sunday, instead of having a kids costume contest, we're going to do a kids cosplay parade.
Okay.
So all the kids will get together, and they're going to get led through the event center and through the mall by our 405th Colonial Regiment Halo cosplayers.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's going to be like a big parade for the kids, instead of the panel room contest that we've done before.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So individually, and I know, again, I ask you this every year, but what are you each looking forward to the most? Do you find that it changes year to year? Because maybe it's just the overall experience, or maybe you're looking forward to meeting.
I always look forward to like Saturday, like an hour or two into the show, when like everybody's filed in and the place is just full and booming and bustling, and I just kind of get to look around and go like, we did it again this year. Like people came, because there's always that fear of just kind of like, and I grew up, an artist, so I've always had that like voice in my head of just kind of like, no one's gonna like this, no one's gonna come. And I still get that now, even when promoting the show. I'm like, nobody's gonna show up. What if nobody shows up? But then every year it's like I worry for nothing, and people file in and they have a great time, and it always just kind of like quiets that voice in my head that tells me that it's not gonna work.
The promoter in me, I think. I look forward to having no disasters.
Right.
Is a big one. On a personal level, I try every year to at least get one really cool commission from an artist. I have a portfolio that I keep of stuff from all the shows over the years. So I try to find the time to make that happen. So I enjoy that.
Yeah, because you really don't have that much time. You're so busy to take it all in. You're doing this for others.
Yeah. We have very little time most of the time I have to send somebody else around to have
I
get
didn't even think about that.
It's a busy time for us. I look at the 17th is a good day, the day after.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I try to sit in on a panel or two just so I can kind of enjoy like the fruits of our labor a little bit, and kind of take that in.
Yeah, the good years are when we have the chance to do that. That's a good year.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the after party too on Saturday.
Well, because then it's all
because at that point it's like there's almost like a release to it, and then Sunday I'm like, Sunday's going to be easy. Sunday's fine.
That runs itself. Saturday was a big
one. Made it through Saturday, so like any of the big problems always happen on Saturday or like Friday night or whatever. So once we're through those, Sunday's like
easy,
no problem.
Now, do you need volunteers for this file? Do you do volunteers?
Yep. We're always looking for volunteers. We're in pretty good shape, but we could always use more. So if anybody's interested, they go to TwinChairsComicCon.com, and we have a volunteer tab for applications.
And I'm sure you're always looking for sponsors.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Same place?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hit us up on the contact information. I'm actually going to be developing an early sponsor package for 2026. So it might be a little late in the season because I know a lot of people get that stuff out of the way, like a lot of businesses get that out of the way early in the year. So hoping to, as the show gets bigger, it was definitely harder at the beginning of this to find sponsors just because, like we mentioned, a lot of people don't know what Comic-Con is. So it's like, first I have to explain you what this is.
Yes.
And then kind of ask you, like, do you want to help support it?
Which is always a great sales tactic.
Yeah. So the further we go, the more pictures we have of celebrities, the more,
Now, do you find, because it has become so popular, that a lot of these, especially some artists, some of the vendors, they just call you now, it's guaranteed in their calendar?
Oh, yeah.
So that's become
absolutely.
easier, I'm sure, than
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah,
And-
it's actually harder now. What's one of the harder things now is we have so much demand, we can't fit everybody in, so we have long
Right.
wait lists. We have to tell people no, which we don't like to do.
No, I'm sure.
But like we only have so much square footage, and we've got long lists of people who want to get into the
And
show.
that have been there for so long doing it.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
want
we-
to.
yeah,
Even like published artists like that have done comic books are like, we don't have room. I'm sorry. Like,
Wow.
it stinks, but
Again, good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and it helps, and it's also like, like anything else. It's networking. It's we try to make sure that all of our guests have a great time, so that because they do conventions all over the country, all over the world, some of them, and they're talking to other artists, they're talking to other celebrities and agents and things. So we want to have a good rep out there so that they can kind of push other guests our way. So
Absolutely.
definitely helps.
It's Twin Tiers Comic-Con coming up November 15th and 16th at the Arnett Mall Event Center. Guys, thanks again for being on the program, and we'll talk to you again soon. Let's do one more before the event, okay?
Sounds great.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks, Frank.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I want to thank our guests from Twin Tiers Comic-Con. We always appreciate them coming on the show. A couple quick announcements because I do already have to take a break. We're going to read a couple viewer comments and then some announcements on the show. First, regarding the Democrats' demands during the shutdown, thank God they aren't and will not be in the majority. Otherwise, given their ridiculous demands and behaviors, the U.S. would be doomed. Thank you, viewer. On tomorrow's broadcast, I mentioned that we would have Debbie Shannon on the show. She's running for Steuben County Legislature in District 12. That is the district that encompasses Irwin. We also have, and this has just been added, if you are a country music fan and have not checked these guys out, you have to. From the Malpas brothers, Chris Malpas will be joining us on the show tomorrow. Two young guys celebrating it's a pre-recorded one, so celebrating his 40th birthday. He told me today. They are a throwback to some really classic country. So check them out, the Malpas brothers, and we'll be talking with Chris Malpas on tomorrow's broadcast. Don't forget, early voting is going on now. And one other announcement before we go to our next break. Don't forget, the Friends of the Southeast Steuben County Library book sale is going on now. I forgot to delete the old days, but you get it. Today and tomorrow, and then the 1st is the last day. Saving a lot of money if you can make it out to 100 Nazareth Civic Center Plaza in Corning for the library book sale. There we go. I think that covers everything. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, keep those comments coming in and prepare yourself for Joe Sempolinski, who will be here shortly. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Thanks for joining us on this rainy Thursday morning as we broadcast live from the Hesselson's studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning to you. Thanks to Kevin and Mike and all the volunteers for bringing Comic-Con to our area. I know many people who are looking forward to it. Well, what a nice comment. Thank you very much for sending that in. And I would agree. It is a really big deal. As you heard during the interview, a lot of people looking forward to this all year, and they do a wonderful job, and I'm glad that they can be on the program. And we are going to talk to them again because I think, can't promise anything, but there may be a couple more announcements about other activities. Who knows? During Comic-Con. So we're going to have them join us before the event, the week before. So that's coming up on the 14th and 15th. Ken writes in a comment on yesterday's discussion about the governor's race in New York. I think Elise Stefanik is waiting as long as she can to declare. She is currently getting a huge amount of speculation coverage, including speculation polling, without a huge amount of negative coverage from the legacy media, and not a lot of cost to that polling as well. I mean, it's not the one was inside a PAC, I think it was, or maybe someone who supported her. Otherwise, yeah, it's been pretty much coverage of her response to what Hochul's doing. You raise a good point. As soon as she declares, it will be the green light to the legacy media and Democrats to let the beatings, misinformation, and outright lies begin. Yes, they have been, I'm not saying everything's been glowing, but they've been more focused on Hochul and then including Stefanik's remarks. But you're right. As soon as she officially declares, then no holds barred at that point. So Erica Kirk delivered a raw, faith-filled tribute to her late husband at Ole Miss yesterday. Being on campus right now, for me, is a spiritual reclaiming of territory, she said. There's a lot of symbolism in today. It's Wednesday, 7 weeks. And the more that I'm coming to grips with the permanency of this nightmare, the more that I'm starting to realize and witness that the enemy, he doesn't want you. He wants your territory. He wants your influence. And I could just hear Charlie in my heart. I could hear him say, go reclaim that territory, babe. Go. The battles that God's love conquers. And that's why I'm here today. She said she prayed on it before joining J.D. Vance for the event. When our team asked my dear friend, Vice President J.D. Vance, to speak today, I really prayed on it because obviously it's a very emotional day, she said. But I could hear Charlie in my heart. So J.D. Vance reveals why Christian values are key to America's future, saying, I make no apologies for thinking that Christian values are an important foundation to this country. Anybody who's telling you that their view is neutral likely has an agenda to sell you. And I'm at least honest about the fact that I think the Christian foundation of this country is a good thing. And then he railed against contemporary liberalism, saying there's nothing wrong, of course, with focusing on people who are disenfranchised, for example. That's the focus of liberalism. But if you completely separate it from any religious duty or any civic duty, then that can actually become, for example, an inducement to lawlessness. You can't just have compassion for the criminal. You also have to have justice too, which is why I think that a properly rooted Christian moral order is such an important part of the future of our country. J.D. Vance also calls for a reduction in legal immigration at the event, saying we have to get the overall numbers way, way down. So that was yesterday, but we know that some things, while some things are changing for the much better, as we've seen with Bible sales surging, we've seen Turning Point USA chapters opening up all across the country. But then we hear at UW-Madison, the dean there, the associate dean, has publicly called former President Donald Trump a racist and co-authored an academic paper suggesting the American education system and even mathematics is, quote, inherently violent, end quote, toward black students. Percival Matthews, Associate Dean for the Office of the Dean and a professor in the Human Development area of UW-Madison, shared his views in a series of Facebook posts and academic writings that were reviewed by Fox. So we see that the battle for free speech on college campus is not over. You have to keep that in mind, and you've got to keep that in mind when we see the protests on the street, whether it's anti-Semitic, anti-Israel protests that we see, whether it's some of the No Kings rallies, and you wonder how this could happen. Very much so because of what's happening at the universities. And just to tie that in, an former Bravo star, I guess Bravo is a channel, and liberal podcaster Jennifer Welch laughed as she watched footage of a No Kings protester. Oh, it's raining out there. Hold on, Joe. I got you. There you go. All right. Well, we'll get to that maybe here in just a little bit. Sorry, it's pouring out there. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. Wrong one. There we go. And welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, former Congressman, current Assemblyman, Joe Sempolinski. Joe, good to see you.
Frank, it's a beautiful morning.
Yeah, you got a good day to drive in.
Yeah, dark and rainy.
We haven't had you on in a while.
It's been a little bit.
I know.
A little bit.
I don't know why that. There's no harm intended.
I just don't coming on. You know?
Well, how about this? This is why you love coming on, because we got this comment from a viewer. Yay, my favorite guest. He always has great info and insight.
Thanks, Mom.
Glad to see your mother is still watching.
My mom loves the show.
All right. So, hey, how'd the town hall go? I see you've been doing some town halls.
Yeah, we do town halls. We do about one every 2 months. That's what we do. So this was my 5th one. And we've done Olean, Wellsville, Canisteo, Gowanda, and last night I was in the village of Delavan, which is in northeastern Cattaraugus County. It's the township is Yorkshire, town is Delavan, and it was good. We had a lot of interesting feedback. We had the town supervisor was there, highway superintendent was there. Local residents were there. A variety of different topics, different perspectives on things. It was good, and I had one gentleman who, I could tell by his line of questioning that we agreed on some things, but didn't agree on everything. And he said at the end, I don't think I've said this about a Republican before, but I'm impressed with you, which is very nice.
Well, hey,
it was a nice thing.
Take
to
the
say.
compliments where you can get it. Yeah.
So no, I like being out and talking to folks. And
how much does it? Because obviously you're there as an assemblyman. How much of it does become national?
Last night it was all state.
Oh, okay.
And everyone is different. And you never know coming in, is it going to be a big turnout, a small turnout? Is it what the questions are going to be?
Sure.
I've had town halls where there was a lot of federal questions. The one in Olean was kind of like that. Canisteo, it was all about the flooding issues in Canisteo.
Sure.
It wasn't even, really state policy stuff. It was state casework type stuff. So it depends on the community, depends what's going on in that community at that time, depends on, the season of the year.
Yeah, sure.
And so no, last night was interesting. The federal shutdown didn't
come up. No kidding.
No, didn't even come up.
Because it's
I
even
was
come
surprised.
up.
I figured that would be a major topic.
Yeah,
and,
because even
it
some of the
wasn't.
local interviews, obviously, this time of year we're busy with local interviews because elections are coming up. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But it's even come up, not on my part, but from some of the guests. And I found it's interesting.
Yeah. No, I was surprised. It was mostly talking about local infrastructure issues. It was a lot of energy issues, state energy policy, state environmental policy.
Well, that's starting to scare people because I know we talked to Phil about it a lot.
Yeah.
But
Phil's talking about energy?
Yeah, when? Since when? No, but honestly, people are just hearing, which is so sad, just hearing about the electric mandate coming up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, Corning Natural Gas, sent out a thing. A couple others have sent out, and then I see all this coverage.
Yeah.
And I think, my goodness, we've been covering this for
right, and
since
it's been the
beginning of
law since the CLCPA was passed.
Yeah.
So this is something where this is the games that get played, where they pass laws. When I say today, I mean the Democrat majority in the Assembly and the Senate. They pass laws and they don't take effect for a year or 2 or 3 years or whatever, and then they do a big press saying, "Oh, we saved the world because of this," and then
it creeps up on you.
Creeps up on you.
Yeah.
And so, if you are building a new home in the state of New York after January 1st, you cannot build it with gas.
And it's
It has
essentially
to be
it's too
electric.
late, essentially, because you have to have some type of structure there. You can't just declare run into the bank and go, "I declare."
Well, right, yes, right.
Yeah,
Declare bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But I've had people come talk to me about that. It's like, how much do I have to get in the ground?
Yeah. And that's
so
a
that
little
it
bit
counts?
iffy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you sort of have to start. It has to be started.
Okay.
And,
Okay. Because the language they were using at the Corning Natural Gas letter was an existing structure almost, which that could
so
be.
if you have an existing building, like for instance, my home is there.
Yeah.
If it happens to be gas, but if it wasn't, I could still change it to gas if I wanted to.
Okay.
So it's on new builds is the law. However, there is a bill that has passed the legislature, the governor hasn't acted on yet, that makes it more difficult to hook up existing structures to the gas system. The 100-foot rule is what we've had for a long time, where if you have a building that's within 100 feet of the existing gas infrastructure, the gas utility is obligated to hook you up for free. It'll be, no, you got to pay for it.
Yeah, and that's not going to be cheap.
No, it is not. And so...
Aren't we talking about more affordable housing? Hasn't that been like the big thing in Albany?
This drives me up the wall, because the governor has this talking point about we're going to make housing affordable.
Yeah.
And then everything that comes out of Albany, whether it's energy or how they treat landlords or how they treat construction of new buildings regarding wetlands or whatever, everything that comes out of Albany makes it harder. If you're concerned about the price of housing, which is a legitimate concern.
Yes.
If you're concerned about the price of housing, the simplest way to drive down the price of anything is increase the supply.
Absolutely.
It's pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Economics. I learned it at Corning Post West High School.
That's right. Probably.
And so if you drive up the supply, you lower the price, and it becomes more available to everybody. So the simplest way to increase the supply is make it easier for people to build homes, make it easier for people to rent homes, and suddenly the prices will go down. Instead, you make it harder, and then suddenly the government has to come in and say, well, we're going to socialize this in some way. And that's where you get basically the whole Mamdani campaign.
Mamdani, and also at a larger scale, isn't that what we're dealing with the government shutdown? Create a problem out of scratch and then come out and say, now we've got to fix it. It's the same. I mean, they all tie in together. But you're right, Mamdani. Don't give me a head on your colleague. On your colleague.
Yeah, that's my fellow assemblyman.
Yes, we're going to talk about him in a moment. But we do got a comment from Mark. He says, talk about a completely different topic. I see Russia is testing a new nuke, and now Trump is ordered to test our arsenal. Is this tit for tat, or is there more to it?
Well, I would imagine you just want to make sure that everything works correctly, right? I mean, you have, I would imagine a lot of the nuclear infrastructure dates back quite a ways. So you want to make sure that it works. You know, we have, pray to God we never have to use a nuclear weapon again.
I think I read it was like 1996 was the last time we tested.
Yeah,
it, so
there's been
a
some
while.
bans on testing for environmental purposes, but they're there as a deterrent, and you want to make sure it's a viable deterrent. But again, I would hope and pray that there's never another nuclear exchange in the world, and that it remains just that, a
deterrent.
test. Yeah.
A comment from a viewer. Good morning, Joe, and I'm assuming Frank too. Does the natural gas ban include propane?
So this would be the infrastructure on the house itself, and so it would.
I'm not sure if that can, because some people do
like a separate propane tank.
Yeah.
You would probably be able to. I'd have to go look into that.
Yeah, because that's the first time I've heard that question.
That's an interesting question. It may actually.
Yeah, because you're getting Phil questions.
Yeah, exactly. I'll look into that and get back to you, Frank.
Yeah, because that's a great question.
It might actually. I've read the bill.
Yeah.
And the bill was passed prior to me being in the assembly, but because of it coming up, I was reading the details of it, so we're getting questions about it. It's pretty blanket in how it's written.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's exceptions when it comes to like the type of building, like hospitals and things. But I haven't seen.
Here we go. So, and I know you trust AI with all your heart.
That's right.
But according to AI, yes, the natural gas ban in New York includes propane for most new construction, which makes sense.
Yeah,
because they're not going to let that loophole.
Yeah, from my recollection of the text of the bill, I recall exceptions for the type of building. I don't recall a lot of exceptions for, this type of non-electric. So if we'll get back to Frank, but I strongly suspect that you can't do propane.
Because, I mean,
also.
it does, yeah. Oh, there we go. Now Spectrum is reporting.
Yeah.
The new law will ban natural gas and propane.
Yeah.
So, we don't have to trust on AI. But it wasn't wrong.
No, AI was right in this case. Yeah.
In this case.
Yeah. So it's there's exceptions for things that are sort of like emergency infrastructure, which is sort of like, if you admit that you need an exception for that, why don't you need an exception?
And also
for
hospitals, right?
Hospitals are accepted,
yeah. So you're saying something's a lot more reliable, and what do? We want it reliable for our most vulnerable in a hospital, but not for you in your daily living.
The law itself admits that in the most extremely important of circumstances, you got to rely on this more reliable fuel to heat and power things. And so, but not for you.
Not for you. And especially, you think about it in rural New York. This viewer just wrote in, as many times as my power goes out in my house, can I sue it every time, sue the state every time it goes down? No.
Get ready for more of that.
Yeah. But you're going to have more of that even with the grid.
Right.
I mean, you hear about like Texas when it gets real hot, that the grid can't handle it with air conditioning. We're going to have that problem. Everything's our grid's not prepared for this.
That's correct. The grid is not prepared for the load. We're at the limits of what the grid can handle with the load we currently have. Yeah. And if a lot of places, if you want to build new factory or something, the utility, whether it's NYSEG or RG&E or National Grid or whatever, is going to come back and say, okay, you can build, but we can't power it. You got to build the upgrade yourself. So now the cost of your widget factory just dramatically increased. That's already the situation we're in today. Throw onto that all construction being electric, throw onto that push for electric vehicles and electric school buses and all these things, and we simply do not have the infrastructure to handle it, and the cost to try and get there is going to be just passed on to the ratepayer. So I know there's been a lot of concern about utility costs going up and bills going up. You ain't seen nothing.
No. And I love how Hochul blames the companies, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying they're not as fresh.
This
as
is a frustrating
but
thing.
This is
what they are counting on. What the Democrats are counting on, that the people out there will blame the person that gives them the bill. So the bill comes from the utility, and then suddenly you blame the utility. Now, I'm not saying utilities are perfect. I'm not saying they don't need to be held accountable to give accurate billing and to make sure that behind the scenes they're doing things efficiently. I'm all for that. But bear in mind, when you get a dramatic increase in your electric bill, you get a dramatic increase in any of your utility bills, and you have a frustration with your utility, I get it. But they are the middleman. They are complying with stupid law that is on the books, already on the books, has been on the books for years from Albany, and they then they're counting on you to not look past the name on the bill. Look past the name on the bill, and you should blame the extreme radical Democrats in Albany for your expenses.
Yeah. comment from a different viewer. We have a gentleman on Friday that writes in Climate Fact Friday, Bob, and he says,
Oh,
it's
yes,
Climate
I
Fact
remember,
Friday.
yeah.
Yeah. So he says,
It's not Friday.
I know. So this is a little early.
Wow.
He said, good morning, Frank and Joe from Climate Fact Friday. Bob, question for Joe. Do you think the Office of Renewable Energy or ORES is even necessary? It seems that this is just another layer of bureaucracy costing the taxpayer millions of dollars a year.
We have a lot of bureaucracy.
Yes.
That costs the taxpayers quite a bit of money per year. And that sounds like a redundancy to me.
Yes. Oh, and also, yes, Ken writes in, I meant to mention this, the New York, the fuel ban, the housing, aka the funding of the Dems special interest bill, also includes fuel oil. So that's also included in that.
Yep.
So
Thank
no
you for that.
surprise there. Yeah. All right, we got some other ones coming in, but it is going to be so obnoxious. I have gas too, but I do have an electric stove.
Okay.
And then when power goes out, you have no way of cooking.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, you don't realize, and then you make it. What's the word I want to use? Magnify, thank you. I was going to say magnetize. I don't know why. But when you do that for your whole house in the middle of the winter,
that's right. This is a real danger. This is a life or death sort of situation if you're in an isolated area in the winter and storms. So this is a real major problem that people don't realize what is about to happen. Whether it's the building, whether it's the other mandates, we are about to actually implement the policies that have been passed in the last few years to the great detriment as far as safety and as far as economics of the people, especially of upstate New York.
Yes. We better take our first break. We've been jumping all over with great questions
Yeah.
here. Thank you. Keep them coming in. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, we have Assemblyman, I almost said Phil Palmisano, who we're talking so much. There's so much energy. Yeah. No, we do have a lot of comments. Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski, former congressman.
Well, at the town hall last night, because of these impending mandates, there was a lot of energy questions.
Yeah, that's
and I did mention Phil.
Yeah.
Just that, who'd be great to talk about these things is my dear friend Phil.
Yes, we got a lot of comments. I think the powers that be want everything to go up until it gets to the point where they can say, look, if we had socialism, this wouldn't happen.
Well, there's we talked about housing in that context. We're talking about energy in that context. And there's some, we were talking during the break, there's some people ask, well, why is this happening? Why don't people have any common sense?
Right,
Why would you not let us build with things that aren't electric? These sort of things. I give the anecdote Frank and I were talking about during the break. So the state put out its draft energy plan, and they had a series of public comment hearings where you could go and testify. Mr. Palmisano went to all of them.
Every single one.
He got the T-shirt for the full concert too, or whatever. I went to Buffalo with Phil and testified at the Buffalo one. And we expressed our opinion that this was really not thought out and too aggressive, going to the so-called left. And you had people, because there was in the draft energy plan sort of a statements that we need gas in the short term. We'll get rid of it eventually, but we need it in the short term, or we need more nuclear, this sort of thing. And the people on the left were bonkers. They were basically attacking the governor for saying she was, a right-wing lunatic for not getting rid of gas immediately today. For even saying you should do nuclear. So when you ask, well, where is this all coming from? The Democratic base, especially downstate, has gotten radicalized on a variety of issues. Energy certainly being one of them. And I think the Republican position is pretty common sense. We want to protect the environment. We don't want to hurt the environment, but we have to have a wide, all-the-above energy approach. And when we have a massive amount of gas infrastructure where the vast, overwhelming majority of people are getting gas, especially in cold, snowy Western New York, maybe we should keep that. And give people options, not force things on them. So we believe in choice and freedom and protecting the environment. And they are in crazy town. And now that Mamdani is probably going to be the next mayor of New York City, they are all going to be terrified. Even the more reasonable Democrats are going to be terrified of a primary from their left.
Look at Hochul's endorsement.
That's right. Yeah, Hochul owns every crazy thing this guy's about to do, which is why she ain't going to be governor much longer.
I agree.
She's going to lose. This is going to get worse over the next year. And then hopefully after the governor election, it'll get better. We're at the beginning of this. People don't realize. They're just realizing what's about to happen to them, and this is the start of where they want to go. That 100-foot rule bill, that was a tapered down version of
Yes.
the bill they wanted to pass. There was enough pushback from Republicans and moderate Dems to take a lot of that out. So that's a very unreasonable bill, which I voted no on. But that was one piece of what much bigger bill that they wanted to do.
We'll run through some of these questions or these comments real quick. Mark writes in, this is a good point. As far as Hochul making everyone build new homes and businesses all electric, I'm wondering if her next move will be to put a sin tax on existing natural use or homes tax usage. That's not a bad sin tax.
That is a legitimate concern. Is
Yeah.
well, what comes next? What happens to existing gas infrastructure?
Yeah.
What happens to people that are like my home was built in 1860, and I have a gas boiler.
Your home is older than the East Wing.
My home is much older than the
Yeah,
East
we'll
Wing.
talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we had a major power outage because of grid overload, if we would follow California's lead and just have rolling blackouts instead of outcries for them to allow more natural gas usage. Let's just say it happens during the coldest part of the winter. I've said it before, and it's not hyperbole. People are going to lose their lives because of the decisions.
I couldn't agree. I agree with everything that comment was made. It was very, very correct.
Comment from a different viewer, given that the one-party rule, those in charge obviously have a vested interest in going all electric. Here's something I don't think many people have thought about. I wonder just how much the cost of gas appliances will go up for those of us who might want to replace a gas furnace, for example. And you'll have less businesses because there'll be less call for, so that could be an ultimate goal.
Yep.
And finally, can local officials like Joe just tell Albany we are not going to enforce this law? Can't you, Joe?
Well, I mean, I am in the legislative branch. We try and write the law.
Yeah.
I don't enforce the law. Sadly, the enforcement of the law is handled by the executive branch, which is headed by Governor Hochul.
So there you go. We're going to talk about her in a moment. But I mentioned the East Wing. Boy, the media loves fake scandals, don't they?
This is okay.
Be careful. You were upset during break.
Yeah,
Watch
the
your language.
White House. Yes, true. Yeah. The White House desperately needs a large event space.
I embarrassed myself by almost mocking a viewer saying, "There's no way we rent big
they do.
tents
For
we
big events.
Rent
Tents.
We can't even own a tent.
That'd be a good business to have. Maybe
Yeah.
tent rental for the White House.
Yeah.
So the White House is not a physically large. The main mansion is not a physically large building. Hence why we have an East Wing and a West Wing,
Sure.
and they expanded, and the West Wing is sort of presidential's offices, and the East Wing was sort of for the First Lady and whatnot.
And the most historic part, if you listen to the
That's
media.
actually the least historic part.
I know,
Really. It was the most useless part of the whole complex. The only part of that complex that is sort of original is the exterior walls of the main mansion. Even the interior of the main, what you think of as the White House, was gutted by President Truman. Literally gutted. You can see pictures of like
amazing.
backhoes and excavators and stuff inside the White House. It's completely reconstructed. So every president has put their own tweak and stamp on the White House.
Some more important,
complex.
some less important.
Yeah, that's right.
We
Some-
talk bowling
exactly.
alleys, we talk swimming pools, those type of things, then you have bigger.
Exactly. And the president said correctly, and he said this while he was, before he was president, this is an area that needs a big event space. It's the showcase for state dinners and what have you. I have been at a large social event at the White House, and you're walking around, you can't even walk.
And you've got heaters if it's cold.
Right. So it's a legitimate need and a legitimate infrastructure improvement that should have happened to the complex. They tore down the least important part of the complex, which is the East Wing. They don't make TV shows about the East Wing.
Exactly.
Right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right. So, and they put in place something that was desperately needed, or going to put in place something that was desperately needed, funded with private donations.
Yeah.
So you're not even paying
But
for it.
because you pay attention, but how the media is not mentioning that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen on social media people go, well, 300 million people don't have SNAP
Right.
benefits or
Yeah.
whatever.
No,
they
it's
don't want you to
privately
know.
funded. Here's what I think it's really about. That ballroom is going to become a major focal point of major historical events when the King of England or the Prime Minister of wherever shows up, and for the next 100 years, it's going to remind everybody who's a Democrat about President Trump.
Well, and I had made the prediction on this program that if, depending on the situation, the first Democrat that gets in there, if there's still this kind of TDS that people talk about, that he's going to propose tearing it down, right? And then what happens a week later? Eric Swalwell comes out and says it's a litmus test for future
And then
presidential
he
candidates.
immediately backtracked. Did you see that?
Yeah, well, come on.
He's like, we'll just rename it after Obama or something or whatever it was. And so, no, it was a significant infrastructure improvement to the complex. It was needed and necessary and funded in a very nice way. And it's going to be great.
Yeah, and
I could not agree with President Trump more on renovating the eastern side of the White House complex.
And I also got to say, it's perfect for the media because the visuals. When you talk about PR, the visuals and optics and the way they present it, you would think they were tearing down the actual White House.
Right, that's right. And there's a lot of people that are spun up about this, where you see people posting like pictures of themselves in the main mansion saying, "I remember."
Yeah, I remember.
Was there.
How could they? It's so heartbreaking.
No,
Don't mislead. If it's that bad.
And again, everything you saw in the main mansion, if you've ever been on a White House tour, all the walls, all the rooms. That dates to Harry Truman.
Yeah, exactly.
It does not date to Thomas Jefferson.
It's just it's all optics wise. They know that they got you,
right?
And but right now I love it. I love the whole idea.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a benefit to the country for a long time to come.
I didn't see your name on the donor list, though, Joe.
I am a thousandaire, not a millionaire.
Boy, those are some big names.
Yeah,
and you know the names you don't recognize. Like, I wonder what they do.
Yeah, right.
I got to do a little Wikipedia.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple comments from viewers. It's always a pleasure watching Joe. If we had more clean Republicans like him, the Democrats wouldn't have a one-party government, and they want the exclusive monopoly. No Republicans at all. So good compliment.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Comment from a different viewer, from Steve. Good morning, Frankie. Good morning, Joe. Well, thank you. One of the only positive things I could think about electric is that maybe finally I'll start fixing structures that are in place instead of building on existing land. Yeah. It's also in the bill that a restaurant is built, they're not allowed to use gas. Is that in there? Because I have no idea how a restaurant can exist without using gas.
Yeah, this has come up a lot, especially
in the city,
downstate. Yeah, where the
pizza,
right?
What they're known
the
for,
wood-fired pizza. Yeah, you may have some particular product.
Yeah.
That is distinctive to you, and you have a particular way of producing that food. And now when somebody comes along, Big Brother, and says you can't do it, or you literally can't produce that product anymore, your wood-fired pizza, you was slap that on the old gas burner. It's not exactly the same product.
Yeah.
And so, what is frustrating is we've been talking for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We've had some wonderful comments from the folks in TV land.
Yeah.
And the folks in TV land over the last 20 minutes have thought more about energy policy in the state of New York than the state legislature did when they passed this law.
Exactly.
That's how we do business in the state of New York.
Yes. So also, we got some other
good work.
Yeah, doing a great job. They always do. And there's so many questions. A lot of them because they're grandfathered in. So what's Corning going to do with their gas furnaces for glass? But you're still going to have problems, like we said earlier, when you start to find it more difficult, more expensive for replacement parts and things like that. But things are grandfathered in. And finally, incidentally, though NYSEG is not to blame, they're asking for a 40% increase in the delivery charge and a 30% increase for gas, or 40 for, those numbers may be a little off. But I mean. Yeah,
I've been on the record saying I don't want utility increases. Myself and my other colleagues in the region have been explicitly in writing on that.
Yes.
I've also had repeated meetings with the leadership of NYSEG RG&E, and I understand that they are the middleman on this. That doesn't mean I'm in favor of rate increases. To be clear, I am on the record against rate increases. But bear in mind, they are complying with epically stupid policy, and so you can be as frustrated with utilities as you want to be frustrated with. I'm not telling you not to be mad about the people that are sending you a bill or asking for the right to send you a much bigger bill.
Yeah.
But remember who is really pushing this. It is the radical edge of the Democratic Party, and frankly, not so much even the radical edge anymore. It is the mainstream portion of the Democratic Party. And so think about that going forward when you're making choices about your who you support politically.
Yes. We better take a short break. Stay with us. Keep those great comments coming in, and we'll be right back. So Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, former Congressman, current Assemblyman, current Chairman of the Steuben County Republican Committee, Joe Sempolinski. Hey, let's talk about the mayor's race. I know it's New York City.
New York City.
And what's your
the
thoughts?
Big red apple.
I know. Did you ever think that there would be a time when actually some Republicans are calling to vote for Cuomo? And I'm not saying what all Republicans at all, but
I mean, it's great. How much time have we spent on this show and its wonderful radio predecessor?
Yes,
talking about Andrew flipping Cuomo.
Yes, a lot,
and I'm no Zohran Mamdani fan, but the argument that somehow Cuomo is dramatically better than Mamdani, I think they're bad in different ways.
It's almost like the argument is Cuomo has more experience.
Yeah, experience killing people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So yeah, they're both horrific. They're just horrific. They're two different genres. Of
horrific, yes.
So
that's a good way of putting it.
So if I lived in New York City, I'd be voting for Mr. Sliwa.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I do think the Republicans could have got behind him a little better from the beginning. That whole race just unfolded so strange. Because if you remember even the betting apps and things like that, where it's illegal or legal, I don't know. But Cuomo was going to win that primary, and he's
people assumed it was a lock and a walk, and this nobody comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Mamdani, and so Zohran Mamdani is a state assemblyman. He has the same job I do. Never met the guy.
I was going to say, have you ever seen it? Because they said the one bill he passed last year, he didn't even vote on because he wasn't there.
No, it was at the end of session.
Yeah.
He didn't show up to vote after the budget.
Okay.
So the budget passed, mid-April. It was a little late. Well, later than that. But after the budget passed, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I think I've been in the same room with him in the sense of I've been in the chamber at the same time he's been there with everybody else, but I've never interacted with the guy. He's not somebody that is an aggressive legislator. I think we've passed approximately, it's within one or so, approximately the same number of bills. He's been there 5 years. I've been there 10 months.
Yeah.
He's in the majority. I'm in the minority. And just to be clear, this isn't somebody that all the Democrats in Albany were like, oh yeah, this guy's the next big thing. He was a kooky, outcast, radical in Albany.
Yeah.
So among New York City Democrats, he's too crazy for us.
Yeah,
that's the guy that's about to become mayor of New York City.
That's something wild happened.
So this is something that did come completely out of the blue, and his positions that he has taken over the years are radical. And what you've seen over the campaign, whether it's primary or general, and he's been saying some crazy stuff on this campaign, but that's the sanitized version of him. If you pull up, and people are starting to now, a little late, pull up clips of when he was running for assembly or when he was sort of an activist before that.
Anti-Semitism, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, there's some stuff he said that's really
because they kept talking about the globalized and intifada, and and he wouldn't denounce that. That's horrible.
Yeah.
But compared to some of the things that actually came out of his mouth, why did this not come out earlier? I mean, I say that rhetorically, but they're coming out now with like a video of his mom who said that he doesn't think America first. He's more of a
and his father has some real weird
that's
positions
wild too.
So,
that was out this morning.
Yeah. So his father is this very radical professor, and his mother is this independent filmmaker. And all this guy did prior to being elected to the assembly was he had been sort of campaign worker activist for these insurgent leftist candidates running against New York City Democrats saying they're too conservative. Yeah. And he, would work on a campaign that lost and lost and lost and lost, and finally he ran himself and he won. And he took out, primaried out a sitting Democrat.
Kind of an AOC type story.
Yeah. Yep. And now he's there. And as you mentioned AOC, all the hubbub around AOC when she became a congresswoman, this is going to be what the media will do with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
100 times that.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, should Mamdani win, he will be the second most famous human being on the planet after Donald Trump.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
And now, this is going to be horrible for New York City. It's going to be horrible for New York City. But my hope is that this may be the final thing for a lot of moderate Dems, especially downstate moderate Dems, going, this is not what I signed up for, and they look to a Republican candidate for governor. Because
I agree.
The mayor of New York City is one of the most prominent human beings on the planet, but they are a local elected official.
Right.
They are not a state governor. They are not a president. So a lot of the things they have to do or want to do, they have to get money from Washington, which ain't coming, or they got to go and get approval from Albany. We have what's called Tin Cup Day, and it's during the budget hearings, and we have all day, for over the course of a month, these very long budget hearings as we're doing the budget. These tend to happen in February, early March. And one of those is local government budget day. And the first witness every year is the mayor of New York City. And they call it Tin Cup Day because he's metaphorically there with his tin cup saying,
we need money.
I need money. And so the simplest way to stop a Mayor Mamdani, and I hope there isn't a Mayor Mamdani, but if he is mayor, the simplest way to stop his agenda is a Republican governor. Because clearly we know Kathy Hochul ain't going to stand up to him because she endorsed him.
I know. I want to talk about that.
And so the simplest way to fix or block what this guy wants to do is a Republican governor. And my hope is, moderate Dems in the outer boroughs, maybe suburban voters next to New York City, maybe Donald Trump hasn't been their cup of tea. They come to the realization that we need to vote for the Republican side and balance out this state, and hopefully that leads to a Republican governor being elected next year.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in depth. And Hochul's endorsement, I've always said you can tell that she was never supposed to be governor, right? That's why she was picked for lieutenant governor, because she just doesn't have that.
Did you see what she said? She thought they were chanting at her.
Let's go Bills.
Let's go, because they're chanting tax the rich.
Tax the rich. Let's go Bills.
And she's in New York City. Of course they're going to.
Yeah, they're not.
It was like, let's go Brandon.
That's what so many people said that on the show.
Dramatically stupider.
Yeah. It was so pathetic. And the fact that she then has to say, well, he hasn't endorsed because I don't want him to endorse yet. It's the time frame. Okay, so you basically, if I was Mamdani, I'd be kind of mad because you basically just endorsed for Mamdani without endorsing. Like, oh, he really wants to. Did you see him raise his hand in the mayoral debate? He does not want to.
He didn't say. Yeah. He said a couple nice things about her, but he didn't. He had every opportunity.
Yes, and he could have at that point said, listen, it'd be better if I gave a different time frame, but yes, of course. No. Right, yeah. She knows that there's going to be a far left person nipping at her heels, I think. Right. And if she has two primary challenges, now granted, she'll probably come through that. Maybe not.
Who knows?
But that's still.
But that is going to be suddenly the dynamics, as I mentioned, of the Democratic Party in New York State, where you're going to have Mamdani putting his arm around person X, primarying assemblyman or senator or congressman or governor or senator. Schumer, Chuck. Why do you think the government's shut down?
I know.
The government is shut down because Chuck is worried about a primary.
I can't believe that he hasn't endorsed. I thought for sure he'd endorse Mamdani after Jeffries did.
Yeah, maybe he's not running for re-election.
Yeah, it could be. He sees AOC, right?
I don't know. I don't know what Chuck does.
No.
Chuck doesn't tell me.
He doesn't call you?
No.
Let's go to a couple of comments. I know I'm missing some of your comments. That's always the case when Joe's here just because we have so much to cover.
I'm glad there's a lot of comments.
Yeah.
That means there's somebody at the other end of the camera. It's good.
Yeah. I still think Sliwa can win, this viewer says. He's the only candidate with any common sense that is not a murderer, meaning and a communist anti-Semite.
Well, I think I said this on the show before. I've met Mr. Sliwa once.
Yeah.
And we were at a dinner in Albany in the spring. And we happened to be one table apart, and we were introduced by some mutual friends. And my entire conversation was, and this is prior to the primary and everything, I just shook his hand. I said, I pray to God you win.
Yeah, it was, you were ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple other comments. Looks like yellow spider webs on the camera shot of Market Street. Sure does.
Yeah, a little rainy out there. Yeah.
I know the natural gas users far outweigh the electric users.
Especially in this part of the world.
Yeah, so if Elise Stefanik announces she will run, I would hope the natural gas users vote out Hochul.
I would
hope so. I don't care what their decision is.
Yeah, in this part of the world, it's overwhelmingly gas.
Yes. I'm wondering if this is a good point. I'm wondering if Mamdani could potentially be able to run for president. Obama came out of nowhere too. And I don't know about age-wise because I don't actually know how old he is.
He is 33, 34, somewhere.
So he would
there.
Be right around.
He was born in Uganda.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that part of it.
So and I don't think his parents were American citizens, so I don't think he is eligible.
Okay. But that is an interesting correlation because people don't remember that Obama had only been a senator for 2 years.
So Obama gets elected to the Senate, and 2 years later announces he's running. Yeah. So when he announced, he'd only been senator for just over 2 years.
Just kind of interesting. Yeah. And finally, this is how we'll go to break. Let me check which break I'm on. Okay. I think this is a very good point this person makes. Good morning, Frank and Joe. It would be great if Joe was on the ticket with Stefanik. All right. We'll be right back.
All right.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Frankly Speaking roof cam, there's those. They kind of dissipated a little bit, but the spider webs. Sun's coming up. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Joe Sempolinski. Joe, we still have a lot to cover. People, and I just joked and took us off the air right when that person suggested you should be on the ticket. That's kind of a step down. You used to get governor.
No, well, listen. For the record, I am not running for governor. My plan is to run for re-election in the assembly.
Make that very clear.
Especially to my wife.
Oh my gosh. I hope she's not watching.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I think it's extremely likely. She hasn't said it yet, so I'm not making any news here. But I think it's extremely likely that Congresswoman Stefanik is going to run. I've known Elise for a little bit for a long time, and she was great to work with, both when I was running for Congress, when I was in Congress. Right. we were just texting a couple weeks ago, and I've had a chance to talk to her very briefly in person when she was in Buffalo a couple months ago, and I think she definitely gives us the best chance to win. She's the
and
best.
I like now that the coverage when Hochul does something kind of foolish, like the endorsement stuff, she always gets that. Even though it's later in the article, it's always because the media has already assumed that she's running.
And the good thing about Elise is, and this is no negative to our previous nominees, but when I'm out and about, at an event, a town hall meeting, or just on the street or whatever, people will ask me, "Is she going to do it? Is she gonna do it?" So your average voter,
the buzz
already sort of, especially our Republican-based voters, they really sort of already have heard of her, they know her, and so she's going to come in with name ID and money,
lots of money,
that no Republican nominee has ever had before. And there won't be a primary. If she does it, she'll be the nominee almost like instantly. So and there was a poll that came out this week that had her up one.
Up one, I know.
If that's even close to accurate,
there's
we're
two,
gonna win.
remember, that have been like really close, where you're right, because she's starting in some of the polls where Zeldin finished.
Yeah.
And so that's really important to remember, because Zeldin worked hard.
Yeah, Zeldin wasn't a household name when he got in the race.
No, now he is.
And now, he's in the cabinet. He's doing great. But she sort of already is, because of how she's handled the questioning that she's done. I wouldn't want to be downrange of her questioning. And I think I've said it before. The committee she's on, where she questioned the college presidents, is the Education and Workforce Committee. That's the committee. I served on that committee with Elise. But I was there. And seeing
watching
that happen is always entertaining.
And I'm glad that her new book, I really do look forward to it, about the Ivies and all that. This is going to be interesting. Going back, because we talked about Hochul, I was reading an article, I think it was about when she was at the rally with Mamadani. And the media called...
Bills rally.
Yeah, the Bills rally. They called her, the media, I think this is fascinating, called her a moderate, business-friendly governor.
Well,
that was Politico.
Compared to Donnie, Stalin's like moderate business friendly, right?
I guess you're right.
It could be a comparison thing. But that's I think what is particularly frustrating. We're talking about a lot this hours here about energy.
Yeah.
And these are bills that are ridiculous, and everybody's worked up about them, which they should be.
Yeah.
That Hochul supports.
Yeah.
And Hochul is nowhere near as far left as Mamdani.
Right.
So the Democratic Party in the state of New York has spun off into really crazy town, where people that we've been frustrated with for the last generation, Cuomo, Hochul, these folks have folks that are significantly to their left. Like I said, I deal with some very, very liberal New York City Democrats.
Right.
Very liberal New York City Democrats. Mamdani was considered a radical by them.
Right.
So the only hope for this state is that moderate Democrats wake up, especially downstate moderate Democrats, and go, this is too much. I have to vote for the Republican.
Yeah.
Whether that is Republican Curtis Sliwa next week,
or
it's Republican, hopefully, Elise Stefanik next year.
Yes, and that's what we're hoping for. But Hochul, going back to what I was saying, she's just not ready for it. Just like at the rally, how uncomfortable she was at the rally. It reminds me, remember when she gave the speech at the DNC?
Yeah.
And had the arrow right out the gate. But she wants that so bad. She wants to be Andrew Cuomo. She wants to be some kingmaker, power broker in politics. And boy, she does.
Well, sadly, she was born without charisma.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And that's a great point. And I'm not saying I'm the most charismatic cat in the world, but sort of either you got it or you don't, as far as that level of politics. Yeah. And so she doesn't walk into it wasn't when she walks into that room, it's not like,
there she
governor.
is.
It's like, who's this lady? And she does not have gravitas or command.
No,
but pretty much
you can
anything.
tell she really wants that. But that's an interesting rally. That's a group there. And the fact that she endorses him, then he doesn't endorse her.
Right.
Then he does a rally with her. Then he doesn't endorse her again.
Correct.
And then she does this big rally.
Right.
She's being used, and she looks. I would be embarrassed at the end of the day.
She should be, and they're chanting, and they're heckling her. The crowd is heckling her, saying,
thanks for nothing.
Tax the rich," which she has said that she doesn't want to raise taxes, but we'll see if that holds out until March 31st when the fiscal year ends.
I know. We haven't even talked about the government shutdown, but I got to take a break. We'll stay. Well, we kind of did, right? We've covered a little bit of everything. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Joe Sempolinski in that studio. Comment before we move on to some other issues. I'm sending Stefanik my inflation refund check. Hokel's got to go. We've had a lot of people say that.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
That's a wise investment.
What'd you do with yours?
I don't think I got one.
I haven't got one yet.
Yeah. If I got one, I don't know about it.
Yeah.
So
well, there you go.
I've talked to my wife.
Yeah. Maybe it's already spent.
It's already spent.
All right. The government shutdown. We don't have a lot of time because we got to talk about voting, early voting. People can early vote now. But the government shutdown, the old trick by the media was it's always 100% Republicans' fault. It's not as much this time.
Yeah.
They're trying. Don't get me wrong.
They're trying. And it really doesn't work. That you've seen these senators say, well, the Republicans control all three branches of the government. Well,
that's so misleading.
The reason we're having this is because the Senate is super majoritarian, and the Republicans, and you saw Thune on the floor of the Senate yesterday. Senator Thune is like as calm as a placid stream. And he's flipping out on it.
Yeah.
So the Republicans are asking for nothing. They have no demands. Everything they wanted policy-wise, they got in the big, beautiful bill. Mm-hmm. So all they're asking for is a clean CR. Just
same funding as
up, and we can negotiate on the Obamacare stuff or whatever. The Democrats are the ones making demands. They have taken a hostage. Mm-hmm. The hostage is the American people. Mm-hmm. And because of the SNAP deadline coming up, they're basically saying, we're going to shoot the hostage unless you give us what you want. So who's to blame here?
Yeah.
The one that took the hostage.
Yeah.
So this is 100% a Democrat-driven shutdown. The Republicans and a very, very, very small number of moderate Democrats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3, I think.
Yeah, small. When I say small, I mean small number. A very, very small number of moderate Democrats have been consistently voting for a clean CR over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats won't give them the votes. This is the Democrats' fault. They are the ones making demands. The Republicans are making no demands whatsoever. And to Senator Thune, who, again, Mr. Calm, is flipping out on the floor, I think his comment yesterday was, now you're just realizing this has real-world
implications.
Consequences?
Yeah. And
a month in?
And this is all because of Schumer. Like you said, he's scared of far left.
That's right.
And it's sad.
And so is, frankly, Jeffries now.
Yeah,
because Jeffries is in New York City, and you don't think Mamdani can take him out like that?
I know, and he's scared of that. And the thing is, Hakeem Jeffries didn't, whatever you think about Nancy Pelosi, she had been there so long, she knew how to play the game. He's got a learning process where he's not there yet.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi was not good for the country because her policies were bad. Her policies were destructive.
Yes.
But she knew what she was doing.
Mm-hmm. Whether or not you hated that.
Jeffries has the same destructive policies and has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah. So there you go. There's our quick rundown of the government shutdown. I saw you went early voting. You like that early voting.
I like it.
Convenience-wise, right?
Convenience-wise. I like to just get it done.
Yeah.
And then I have to think about it.
And you're busy as chairman.
Yeah. So like if the first sort of day where I'm available, I'll go and early vote. And I encourage people to do it because the concern is that you say, I want to vote on election day, which I get. The polling place is closer to your house and all these things. But what happens if you have a situation? You get called into work or your kid gets sick, heaven forbid, or something, and you can't vote. So the phrase we've been using as the Republicans over the last few years is bank your vote. Just go bank it, get it done. And also it's easier on the candidates because they can say, all right, these people have all voted. I don't have to worry about campaigning to them over the last week of the campaign. So I understand, it's something where Republicans haven't embraced it as much as Democrats have.
Right.
We've gotten
much
more.
Especially during the presidential. We did a great job.
But I would encourage everyone to go out and early vote. Early voting lasts through Sunday. There is no early voting on Monday. And then the main election day is Tuesday in the regular polling places throughout the county. But between now and Sunday, you can go vote in Hornell,
right here at
Bath,
the library,
or Corning.
Yeah.
And anybody in Steuben County can vote at any of those locations. So if you happen to be somebody that you live in Corning, but you work in Hornell, you can go vote at the early voting location in Hornell. Anybody can go to any of them. And I strongly encourage it. I did it. My wife did it. And so my vote's already in. I don't have to worry about Tuesday. I can go do the other things I need to do as chairman and as assemblyman and all these other things. It is the same process as voting on election day. It's in person. It's on the machine. It's not going through the mail.
Nope.
It's not an absentee ballot.
That early absentee should be
The early
a
absentee is
lot.
ridiculous, yeah. But the early vote is in-person early voting, so I strongly encourage it. The numbers are always a little weak for going in for the Republicans, and they get better over the course of early voting. You know, it tends to be as the Democrats will do it right at the beginning, and then the Republicans, as they get closer to election day, will vote.
just
But
stroll in
please
when
get
we
out to
want
vote, and everywhere there are certainly. There's more attention on the races in the town of Corning, town of Hornby, town of Caton, town of Irwin, city of Corning, city of Hornell. Those have pretty intense local races. But everywhere in Steuben County, you at least have the Supreme Court race.
Yes.
Whether you have anything local that's contested or not. And the folks in the Supreme Court district, they have to run in the city of Rochester.
Yeah.
So they count on big margins in Steuben County and the other smaller counties to make up for the goofiness in the city of Rochester. So even if you're not in one of the areas where we have a contested county legislature or city race or a contested town race, please get out to vote for the Republican ticket on Roe v. I'm very proud of our Republican ticket. And anybody you're voting for on Roe v., you're going to be very pleased with.
It went very quickly. I've had so many candidates on. It's hard. It doesn't always this time of year. Cause
You sort of
boom, just you wake up
right
and
on top of
it's
it.
next Tuesday.
Yeah,
Is the general election.
it
Early
is-
voting
is
is
right
simple.
up.
I haven't done it for a
You
local
could
race.
go today.
Yeah, right after this program. Hop in the car and go over to the library.
Finish watching Frank.
Yes, you don't go right this second.
Don't leave during Frankly
we
Speaking.
only got 4 minutes, so.
But once you're done with Frankly Speaking,
Put your shoes
then,
on.
Then go.
Yeah,
go see the
I
folks.
know that it was really interesting during the presidential race because there was a lot of people at that. It was just
Yeah.
nice to walk in. It's no different than when you go to your local one.
Yeah.
You know a couple people,
That's
you
right.
talk and see how the numbers are. All right, here. Oh, wow, no, this is nice. This is how we're going to end the show, Joe. Do I have
Okay.
time? Comment from a viewer. Just a comment for Joe. That's a smart-looking suit you're wearing.
Oh, thank you.
Good combination. Did your wife pick it out?
Yes.
Okay.
Total honesty.
That person.
Yeah.
Maybe that one was actually your wife.
But that could be my wife. Yeah. My wife noticed all my suits were black or gray.
Oh,
and
so
she
she-
made me buy a couple
Yeah.
blue ones. Yeah.
I did see some coverage you had of an event the other day, and I saw that was you weren't colorful. You didn't
I
go
was wearing
yeah.
a blue
Yeah,
pattern one.
yeah, it's good.
Senator O'Mara liked it. He commented
Go
when I
good.
walked into the room.
Yeah, so there you go. But you've been really busy. Everything's going well with the local races. All the campaigns seem to be going
I'm feeling good about how hard people are working, but you don't know until people actually go vote.
Yeah, and we've talked about it with all the candidates. We just have a minute here that I want to kill, but getting the vote out is
Especially in the off year, in the
Yes.
local election year. There's a lot of people that only vote presidential year. They only vote the even numbered years. Please, your vote counts so much more in the local election year just because the election district is smaller. A lot of times these come down to 1 or 2 votes.
And that's what we talked about, and this was in Elmira too. I mean, there's
Yeah.
candidates from all over.
Yeah.
That this could be one of those ones that is decided, and you've witnessed this, lived through it.
Yeah.
5, 10 votes.
That's right. First time I ever ran for office, I lost by 8 votes.
Yeah, think about that. That must have been heartbreaking.
10 years ago this year.
Yeah.
I remember it well.
You
So
thought
get out and
you
vote.
keep thinking of those 8 houses you could have visited,
Yeah, that's
and that's the thing. But there are a lot of important races. So if you do early vote, let us know. We've got a busy show for you in store tomorrow. Thank you, of course, as always, to Joe for being on the program. I want to thank the guys from Comic-Con, Twin Tiers Comic-Con. They were here right before
they
you.
were before me?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's going to be a fun event coming up on November 14th and 15th. And we will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV Big Fox. I look forward to it already.